me and Raj have kind of been a little skeptical on Boston throughout the season, even as they've been dominant, right? Just not, it's more of a personnel thing and not necessarily a record thing and performance thing. But like, I didn't even really watch this game last night. I watched the highlights of it this morning and last night. I'll be very transparent. But I think when I first saw, because I'll say this, prior to this series, and I put this in Ruin's last episode, which is, we're not worried about this Cavs Boston series because it should be a very quick series. And I still maintain that because of how dominant Boston has been throughout the season. So like, I'm thinking like, okay, it's going to be a sweep, especially after the first game. Boston beats their ass. This is what it's going to be. It's going to be up 2-0 going back to Cleveland, like, and then I look at my phone yesterday and I'm like, I see just third quarter, Cavs up 12 in Boston. What the hell? And then it balloons to like 25 by the time I turn the game off. Jason Tatum's on the bench, just staring in space, right? And then I'm just like, just a continual pattern of these types of losses, right? And I know there have been championship teams that have kept their foot off the gas, right? But a team like this that's striving for a title, we've been having way too many of these things, right? And I still maintain that they should beat the Cavs handily in this series. They should. But losses like this are curious, Raja. They're not good. Against a team that's beneath you.
They're not.
Let's just put it right.
Yeah. That's not a good loss. That's a terrible. You got 20, first of all, in a fucking playoff game as excuse me, like, let me chill out for a second. You got 20 in a playoff game.
You're pissed too.
You're quite possibly the favorite to win the championship. I don't know what the betting odds are. You probably are, but first of all, they missed Kristaps. All right, like that.
Yeah.
They missed that. So let me preface everything I'm about to say with that. I still think they beat Cleveland. What concerns me about them isn't just what you just said about this particular game or what I referenced earlier as kind of their propensity to just play with their food. They've got, I don't know how many games because I didn't do the research on it. Like, sorry. But a bunch of them that they'll get up in the regular season by like 25 points.
Yeah.
And have an epic, like, just let go of the wheel and the team they're playing against comes back and beats them. When you put all of that together for me, it suggests a pattern of you just not staying focused, not being locked in, being someone that I would have to worry about being consistent enough mentally to win a championship. Now you have all the pieces, like especially when Kristaps healthy, but there's a pattern there of like we just get a little loosey-goosey. We think it's sweet. We think it's cake. We think we're supposed to just come out and because we're the Celtics win this game. And the NBA doesn't work like that. Well, you'll beat some teams. Like don't get me wrong, but like it doesn't work like that when you got to win 4 out of 7 against playoff teams. It's not going to work like that. And so that's what scares me about them. Let me just say, I'm clearly missing their paint presence in Kristaps, but there were a few things about last night that probably spoke to the rebounding and all of that, but they looked like they were convinced before the game that there was no way the Cavs could beat them. I talk about this all the time. If you give an NBA player 2 feet of space, his percentages dramatically increase to accomplish what he's trying to accomplish offensively. If you take 1.5 foot, 18 inches of space away from that man, and he's dealing with 6 inches, bro, it's a different game. He's got to back up. Before you know it, they're starting offense just across half court or just across the semicircle. That is people say football is a game of inches, but so is basketball, man. It's just so much different and they didn't have that about them last night as a defensive unit. They did not.
Yeah.
They came out, they were letting those guys, now don't get me wrong, Donovan, incredible. Like we've seen this before, which is another reason Boston, you better stop fucking around. Because if he gets on one of those heaters that we've seen when he was in Utah, like people don't turn that off. Like there's no defensive game plan that's going to stop it. He's that good. So they didn't have that level of intensity. They looked like they thought it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to win the game. And the other concerning piece for me is who in the hell is their grit guy? Who is he? Who is the guy that when stuff like that's taking place, when we are out here embarrassing the fans, like the fans come there to see you get 20. Like you could lose, don't get me wrong. You could lose, but you're not supposed to get 20'd on your home floor in round 2 of the play. That's not supposed to happen to you. So who is in that locker room MFing everybody at halftime?
He's in Cancun or somebody. He's in Cancun somewhere. He's a member of the Memphis Grizzlies at this point. His name is Marcus Smart.
Well, that's who it was. It was, like that's concerning to me. Maybe not for this round, Logan. Do you understand? Like maybe not for Cleveland.
But they play the Knicks?
But or even if you were able to get all the way out of the East, when you play somebody who is going to put you in those situations, foldable situations, metal testing situations over and over again, who is the guy that is looking at everybody saying, guys, like tether yourself to me, motherfucker. I got it.
Yep. And like, I'll be honest with you, this is year in and year out, this has happened with the Boston Celtics, right? And what does he do? He's not there. Also, neither one of those guys exude to the point that you made about like, we need a guy that's going to that's going to light the fire under this shit, right? Who's going to light a fire? I don't see that in those two people. I just don't. I see them as passive people, right? And that's okay. But when you have a roster made up of two guys like that, you need to round it out with some other people. And I see a lot of nice guys there, right? I see a lot of nice, cool people. A lot of people that I would just like love to hang with, right? But like, nah, we need people that are gonna, and it doesn't always have to be the starting guys. But when I see the guys that are the team that is led by the two J's, I'm just gonna put it out there. They are guys that we have seen year in and year out lead teams that crumble when it's checkout time. When it's time to roll, the two J's have crumbled. And the sample size that we have saw, I don't care what you say, it is what it is. I don't care what the record is. This is what we see. And that's why you have these concern levels when you have a curious loss to the Cavaliers, who, by the way, not even a week ago was struggling to get out of the first round against the Orlando Magic, who, by the way, is a really good organization that's going to be good. But you at this point had Donovan Mitchell, who played really well in game 2 a week ago, talking about, man, it's really tough. I don't want to lose anymore in the postseason. And you had whispers of him not even wanting to be there in Cleveland anymore. And now you in game 2, like against you guys, who you guys are supposed to put them in a pack and smoke them. Instead, he's out here, Donovan Mitchell's out here embarrassing you on your home floor. Like, I don't get it. You talk about these two J's, and what do you have? This weird ass record at home where they're losing all the time, and then when they get punked against Miami, right? Like, this is continual, perpetual stuff that we continue to see. And I don't know if it's on the coach. I see these two players, and I don't see guys that are like,
Well, yeah, that's interesting. I agree with everything you said. I fully expect them to come out against Cleveland, and I think they popped Cleveland good in Cleveland in game 1. I think they will. That's what they typically do. But that is even furthering my point of why I'm concerned about their level of inconsistency and ability to focus as you play like really good teams. That's not championship level shit. Historically, a team that's like, oh yeah, we're going to give you a game or two, and then we're going to come out and do what we should have done to you off the bat. Like
you see it with the Clippers and why they're out. You saw that with the Clippers.
That level of volatility is hard to kind of overcome in what the NBA playoffs is. Damn, I lost my train of thought, but let me get it back real quick. You just said something about the coach, right?
Yeah.
And everything you were just saying was, about the two J's. And yeah, man, they have, you guys are the stars, man. I tell you, stars got to be starring in the playoffs. There's no other way around it. But the guy that I'm talking about is the glue guy, the backbone guy. He doesn't even have to start. He's got to be a rotation guy, though. Now the Heat had Udonis that would do it sometimes, but they always had like Jimmy Butler who was on the court. Like it just can't come from
get on my back.
Yeah, it can't be an old dude on the bench that's not playing. Like that can't be it. He's got to be someone that's in the rotation. And if all of that is missing, like as good as Drew Holiday is, I thought he's a fantastic piece. He's not that guy. Like that's not what he does emotionally. And you think Al Horford, but Al's kind of chill. And let's say you don't have him. Let's say the Marcus Smart isn't there. The whoever else you want to point to isn't there. And you just said something really interesting. The coach needs to have that attitude.
Yeah.
That's how you can overcome that if the coach's DNA and who he is, who he wants to be about, what culture he's developed is in his own mold. That might let you overcome that sometimes, but
that's why
this isn't
Udoka
taking a shot at
good.
Missoula.
But that's why
Udoka was good for them.
Yeah.
Specifically them too. And because you're going to take on, a little bit of who he is. And I'm not throwing shots at Missoula. Like he had his issues, in the playoffs, well documented especially on this pod. But, and some of that does have to fall on him for his team being that lax mentally. But less than a shot and more of a point. Like if your coach is built like that, he could be the person in those moments potentially to deliver the message that someone on the team should be delivering, and then they clearly don't have that person.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, like you said, they play the Knicks next round, right? They're 2-0. I think that's that Pacers Knicks series is gonna go to distance. I think it's gonna go to the distance. You don't think so? We'll talk about that next.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that next one. Okay. But if they play a tough team, right? Or what if they catch Timberwolves, bro? Like Anthony Edwards takes over a game and just like starts talking that shit and gets in their head.
Boy, the Timberwolves had the Denver Nuggets as close to crying as I've ever seen an NBA team. They were out there acting throwing shit literally on the court.
Yeah.
Acting like you was 8 years old. Like I've been not seeing a team stymied like that. So to your point, they're bringing big problems when they show up.
Oh, they are, and they're talking shit. Like it's gonna be a problem if Boston gets to the finals. It takes like a Timberwolves or a team like that. Because here's another thing: all the teams in the Western Conference is some hitters and got hitters on their squad. Like even if you talk about Dallas going into Boston and just got two guys right there that can impose their will on a city and a franchise on a road game in Boston, right? Like Boston needs to get to, I know this, people are going to say, Logan, this is one game. Nah, man, we've watched enough of the Boston Celtics throughout the years to know that this is a problem. And this is something that is going to rear its ugly head, which is why I never picked the Boston Celtics to win the title, because I don't think they have it right here. And I'm pointing in the mental. I don't think they have it. I think there's enough of a sample size, even during the regular season. And you've seen enough from their two stars to know that when it gets time to do something, they crumble. So that's what I have. That's all I have for right now. We'll see what happens. Let's take a quick break. What's up?
I just want to say this because I think Boston beats a lot of teams. I think they struggle with the damn Minnesota Timberwolves because Minnesota, what they do is they are long, athletic, and very physical. They are very physical. And the absence of the dude, the backbone dude, that's the series that it would be highlighted even more in, because you're going to be tested over and over again with them.
If the Timberwolves played the Celtics, I got the Timberwolves in 6. I'm saying that right now.